To order the Truckee River Flood Management Authority meeting for Friday, May the 12th. It is 8:30 a.m. We will start with a roll call. Madam Clerk. Here.
There we go, yeah. Chair Smith is absent, Director Bob Zine is absent, Director Herman.
Here.
Director Martini. We'll try and get him back on the phone. Director McKenzie? Director Martini, are you here?
Here.
Thank you. And Director Abbott.
There, wherever.
And Director Abbott. Okay, we have a quorum, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Madam. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Martini, not
Yes.
Mayor Martini, are you on the line? Can you lead us in the pledge? This is a first. I don't think I've ever had a call-in pledge leader.
You know, I'm not on the line, but I'm listening to it, so.
Will you lead us in pledge, or do I have to have Mr. John Martini, your stand-in Martini?
No, I can handle it, I think.
Okay, lead us on.
Okay, please join me in a pledge to the greatest flag in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public comment. I have no cards, but is there anyone wishing to speak under general public comment? Seeing none, I will
You need to
close
get
that.
closer to the mic.
Approval of the agenda. Is there anyone who wants to move anything, take anything out of order? If not, I will entertain a motion. I have a motion by Mr. McKenzie, second by Mr. Abbott. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Approval of the draft minutes for April 14th, 2017. Any changes? I will entertain a
Can you
motion.
give me some more volume?
That's, ladies, hold on just a minute, Gino.
Okay, thanks. Getting better.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take an approval of the, I'll take a motion for the approval of the draft minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Herman, second by Mr. McKenzie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Announcements. Mr. Aldine.
None at this time.
Okay,
The river's full.
Men's zone.
good to know. All right. Item number 2, discussion and update on the status and provisions of Assembly Bill 375 currently pending in the Nevada legislature. Mr. Wolz.
Thank you very much. Our funding bill, AB 375, was passed by the Assembly on April 13th of this year with an amendment that had been offered by Assemblyman Sprinkle. That amendment made some minor changes to the provisions as to who would be sitting on the Flood Control Project Needs Committee, and then made some statements strengthening the provision that dealt with the county commission levying the tax. The Senate Committee on Revenue and Economic Development took testimony on AB 375 on May 2nd. No action was taken at that time. The chair of committee, State Senator Ratty, indicated that she was likely to request some changes to the bill, including removing sales tax from consideration and requiring that the flood protection fee be imposed before any proposed tax was voted on. We have not seen that proposed language yet, but hope to see that here in the very near future. AB 375 has been placed on the agenda for the Senate Committee on Revenue and Economic Development for May 16th. That has been identified as a work session, so we anticipate that they will vote on our bill at that time. You know, under the legislative rules, it has to be out of committee by May 19th, so this will be kind of our last chance. We have been told that every indication is that we have sufficient support for the bill to get out of the Senate committee and get it to the Senate floor, so we hope to see that happen this week.
Okay, Mr. Wolves, if I may ask a question, are they going to dictate the language that will go on the bill in terms of the funding mechanism that we'd be asking for?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, in other words, that it could be a piece of the GST, it could be a property tax, it could be a sales tax, they could change a number of asks.
The way the bill is currently drafted, the committee will make the determination what taxes or what combination of taxes would go on that bill. So yes, they would be dictating the actual language,
Okay.
is my understanding.
Not just that we can ask for a tax and at some time ask for it later or determine
That's
what its
correct.
mechanism is. Okay. Okay. That's what I needed to know. Any other questions for Mr. Wolves? Anything else, Mr. Wolves?
Not on that item, no.
Okay, no, understood. All right, we will close that item. That's just discussion and update. Item number 3, Technical Advisory Committee and report and discussion. Ms. Lanza, or Mr. Lanza, I beg your pardon. Kerri. Forgive me, sir. It should be on all the time.
I think it's on now.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, Joe Coudurier for the record. So I'm here to give the update from the TAC.
Okay?
So I was elected or appointed to the chair position, and Gene Stone, so I'm with the city of Reno, and Gene Stone of NDEP was appointed vice chair. So that's one piece of update that I'd like to present. And then a couple, really more than anything, there was discussion on the North Valley's Gauge Network, and we will be looking into that further in coordination with the Flood Project Office, examining and thinking about what might make sense for the future, sort of along the lines of the discussion that occurred here last month. And then one other item of discussion was the release of the latest flood project, flood maps for use for floodplain management for the local agencies, Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County. So Director Aldean mentioned that he can provide those, and even though those won't be official FEMA products, they will be the best maps out there for purposes of floodplain management. So we really want to take advantage of those to the extent possible.
Okay. Any questions? All right.
Great. Well, thank you.
Mr. Coudurier. Do we need to take action on this, Mr. Wolves? It says for possible action. Okay, good. Item number 4, financial items. A, discussion and possible action to approve an amendment to the second agreement for professional consulting services with Marcus Faust. Mr. Wolves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Item number 4A, it's recommended that the Board of Directors approve an amendment, the second agreement with Marcus Faust for professional consulting services. He is our Washington, D.C. lobbyist. He has been serving in that capacity for 5 years now. This amendment extends the term of the agreement for 1 more year, up to May 31st, 2018. No other provisions of this agreement are being amended at this time. And just for, I guess, background, the monthly retainer on that is $12,000. That came down from $17,500, I believe, about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And by way of note for a possible motion, I would ask that, I believe that, as it was written in the report, was incorrect. If you could move to approve the amendment to the second agreement and authorize the executive director to sign that, that would be
Okay.
appreciated.
Understood. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion. Check your pulses.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Martini, second by Mr. McKenzie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 4B, discussion and possible action to approve an amendment to the third agreement for professional consulting services with Fiscal Solutions, Mr. John Sherman, extending the term of the agreement for 1 year and increasing the maximum total of the contract by $40,000 to $90,000. Mr. Wolves, you are up again.
Thank you. You nicely summarized that. Thank you. Yeah, we're requesting that the board approve an amendment to the third agreement with professional consulting services. That is Mr. John Sherman, who has been providing some financial consulting specifically on the funding study model. And I think Mr. Aldine would say that it's been incredibly helpful in this process. The proposed amendment extends the term of the agreement for 1 year. The last agreement was for the amount of $50,000. We're suggesting that that be increased by $40,000 for this year, which would bring it to a total contract maximum of $90,000 for both years. And so with that, again, on the motion, if I would like to request that you, with that motion, authorize the executive director to sign that agreement.
Okay. Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Just a question, if our legislation passes and the committee's formed, will he be the advisory, under this contract, will he be the advisory for that committee?
Well, Jay Aldine, Director McKenzie, if the legislation passes, which we expect it to do so, what will happen is he will still be our consultant, and we will use this contract in order to provide services in response to the committee needs.
But there's not going to be an increase in the contract to provide those services?
No, that was anticipated in this increase. The fact that we thought we would need him more than we have in the past, and therefore we upped the contract a little bit in order to be able to cover that need. So no expected increases due to the committee.
Okay, now being the devil's advocate, if the legislation is not successful in passing and we don't need his services for that committee, can we roll back the amount, or do we need him anymore?
We will still need him, but because this is a time and materials contract, we just won't contract for his work. We just won't use him. Okay. If we don't give him any tasks to do, then he doesn't bill us. Okay. And so in this particular situation, we can just easily control it as by staff.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Martini, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I have a question, and it was somewhat answered, increasing the contract by $40,000 to $90,000, and my question was, is this just a contingency? This is nothing more than a contingency to allow you to increase the level of the contract, and yet all of his billable hours will be submitted. It's not just, we're going to give him $90,000 for the year regardless of what his services are.
Absolutely. He works on almost a task order basis. Good. Not official task orders, but I give him a job, and he says that'll probably cost me an additional so many hours, and as long as we manage that and keep it under the contract amount, then we're good. Okay.
And it would be nice to periodically see some of these contracts in terms of what they're actually doing and, the tasks that we're asking them for. Does that make sense to you? And how some of that stuff is being billed? I know it comes out in the budget, but it would also be nice to just sort of see along the way, maybe on a quarterly basis, that we've asked for certain services, and these were the services that were rendered in the amount that was billed out.
Just in a written report as opposed to a spreadsheet?
A written report would be fine, in my opinion. That would be my ask.
For a future agenda item, it'd be real easy to do.
Yeah, just something that's real simple. It keeps everything very transparent, and I think that's important. Mm-hmm. Okay? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McKenzie. Second by Mr. Abbott. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Discussion in item C, discussion and possible award of a single contract for the asbestos abatement, depending on what part of the country you're from, abatement and demolition of the XL building at 5205 Mill Street. Mr. Sheets, welcome, sir.
Good morning.
You snuck up while I wasn't looking.
There we go. Good morning, and again, Eric Sheets for the record. I bring in great news again. We finally got money for the demolition of the Excel building, as we call it, which is 5205 Mill Street. We waited 2 years, at least 2 years, to get this FEMA grant money. Now we've gone forward and we've we released a bid. We got 4 contractors that came back. 3 actually gave us numbers. 1 was after the due time, so I was not able to accept it. But the good news is that bid came in at $118,656, which is within the $250,000 grant that we received. Now I still will have to do disconnections on some of the NB Energy stuff. That's probably going to be about $20,000 or so. That'll be a separate contract with NB Energy. But this particular motion is just to approve the asbestos abatement and demolition contract for the low bidder, which is Olsesi Construction. And again, that total amount, including a contingency, because we'll have to deal with certain things that'll pop up, I'm sure, of $130,522. So,
Are those guys local, Eric?
yes, they are. Yeah, in fact, they actually performed a previous project for us, I believe 155 North Edison. We've had numerous contractors come through and do the work. That's one thing I've been pretty proud of. We've spread the work. There's one contractor that got a few of them, but otherwise, yeah, we've had multiple contractors to do all those projects. So.
The union shop?
This is not a union shop. We did have a union shop bid on it, and they did a great job submitting the bid. They were not the low bidder in this, but we had another shop that bid on it as well that used to be union, and they came in second, but this shop is not. So.
Better get to work, Mackenzie.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I've got.
Mr. McKenzie.
I understand the bid process and everything, but one thing that I would point out, this particular contractor is a contractor that quite frequently uses HB1 visa workers, and those people are here legally for 1 year, and they tend to not let them go back after the year that they've been here. So I hope that we have a process to assure that they're using a legal workforce.
Okay, excellent. In response to that, you're right. I'll be honest with you. This contractor is probably going to cause me some headaches. I expect that, but that's my job. I need to deal with this. I need to manage them, and I'm going to stick on them. They know that. With that being said, this contractor also did perform a previous project for us. It was completed within the bid amount, and we received all the closeouts that were required due to City of Reno demolition permits. So I definitely will be cognizant of this, and I fully expect to earn my worth watching them.
Okay, I have a motion. I also have some comments. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. McKenzie, second by Mr. Abbott. My comments are, and I've seen this time and time again, the lowest bid is not always the cheapest.
Potentially.
You know, you've given me cause for concern that this contractor has presented problems, issues, and you've got to keep your finger on the pulse and make sure that you're not twisted in the saddle, or they're going to throw you. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to dealing with asbestos, if it's just a simple demolition, that's one thing. But asbestos is a very interesting issue, and I don't want to get sideways with some of the federal agencies that may come in and oversee this thing, and then we're well over the bid amount, and when we could have gone with a different contractor, somebody who is known to be more reliable to begin with. So I will also reluctantly support this motion, but if we find, and I'd like to hear again, same scenario, Mr. Director, I'd like to hear periodic reports on this, how it's going, and if there are issues. And do we have an escape clause in this? Are they bonded?
We did get a bid bond with demolition. Basically, we know what their product will be. So, like I said, we had a previous project with this contractor already. It was completed within schedule and within budget. That gives me more ability to have faith that they will complete it. Until
You'd make me feel better if you said they were under the schedule and under the budget. You'd make me feel a lot better, and that everything was done properly. I'd feel better about that. So you are essentially acting as the I'll call it a CMAR, for lack of a better term. You're going to hold their feet to the fire on a daily basis.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Will this?
Vaughn, is there somebody else that you're suggesting would be more qualified and better?
I'm not, Mr. Mayor, but I'm already having some second thoughts, only because of the initial comments of that Mr. Sheets made with respect to having to really watch and monitor these guys. I mean, what's that worth? You know, if you've got to oversee their work, if you can't just turn these guys loose and let the goats eat the weeds in the field without any issue, I have concerns. That's all.
And I completely hear you. This is my job.
Understood.
And I will do that for any contract. I will do it for the highest contract.
I will again reluctantly support. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion on the table from Mr. McKenzie, a second by Mr. Abbott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, report on item D, report and discussion on TURFMA fiscal year 2017-2018 budget and projected cash flow for the next 5 fiscal years. Mr. Aldine, and I see Ms. Williams. Mr. Aldine.
Mr. Chair, what we did is we brought back to the board the opportunity to look at the cash flow in light of the budget that will be, the budget hearing that's coming up shortly. What I did with this particular cash flow is I updated the numbers from Mrs. Williams' budget for FY18, the proposed budget, and I'm just giving the board another opportunity to look and comment if any changes need to be made. The amounts are within $1 or $2 only because of spreadsheet accuracy of the final number. So the concept that I'm trying to get at is the capital projects that are listed for FY18. And they are, as you see them in the capital projects section of this handout. Ms. Williams can address any of the other issues with respect to changes of sales tax, debt service, that actually the debt service didn't change, but the sales tax calculation changed slightly from the last month that we showed you. The tentative budget and this cash flow. So with that said, I just stand willing to answer any questions. As you can see, the Excel building is included in FY18. We have $750,000 in home elevation set aside. That will do probably 4, maybe 5 homes. We have only had one taker on our home elevation program thus far, but with the notion that the board's disposition in the past to maybe look at other home elevation areas such as the North Valleys, that I wanted to put a little bit more money in that line item. The landscape modification went up $10,000. We also have budget money in for the bristlecone building. We also have significant amounts of money in the permit negotiation, that's item number 10, and item number 11, the 60% preliminary engineering. As you can see, those numbers extend beyond FY18 into FY19 and 20. The thought and strategy here is to be as ready as possible after the vote of 2018 to be ready to proceed into final engineering and start actually turning soils out in the area. Let's see, we also put in the Wells Avenue pedestrian removal. That's a great hydraulic benefit for downtown Reno, and it's a relatively small charge to remove that. This is that existing bridge that's underneath Wells right now. What we would do is remove it, replace it with a pedestrian facility that will pass the flow rates we're looking for. And then you can see the common features project are listed, but they're not for FY18, they're in the subsequent years. So with that said, I'll just stand willing, and Ms. Williams is willing to answer your questions. So this reflects the budget that you will look at the hearing next week.
Okay, good. Any questions from the board? I do have a question. On item number 3 under capital projects, the Reno Sparks Indian Colony projects, landscape modification construction, and I see we've got for estimated 17 and 18, we've got about $34,000. What modifications do we have to do there?
That's primarily an ongoing contract with the colony. It had to do with the fact that, in fact, as Eric he's gone. It had to do with the fact that when that project was completed, there were some failures of the landscaping. They were not due to contract error or construction, and so we went in and made some changes, and now we're at the tail end of those changes. It reflects the landscaping around the Walmart there constructed at Glendale, which is just north of the Grand Sierra. So I don't expect to see this again. I think that we're done with this.
Well, so, I mean, and perhaps my impression was wrong, and so I'm glad to be corrected here. My impression was that we were going to just turn it over to them. You know, we did the construction. We're still protecting them. Landscaping, as far as I'm concerned, is an amenity that they're enjoying, and we probably shouldn't be in the middle of that any longer. Turn that over to them. Let them pay for that.
Eric is coming to the microphone, but let me
for an explanation.
Let me just say that, by way of introduction for Eric, the landscape modification dollars, $10,000 in essence this year, and $23,000 or $24,000 next year. They are due to the work that we changed at the very end of the construction of the levee and flood wall, and we're trying to get it right so that when we do turn it over to them for their ultimate maintenance, and I'm hoping I'm saying this correctly, that we give them a product that is a workable product.
When are we going to turn the dog over? We've trained it, and when do we have to stop giving the dog treats?
All right. Eric Sheets again for the record. I'm sorry, I was outside talking on some Lemon Valley stuff with Dwayne. But anyway, So in regards to the landscape, there's actually two areas that are coming up. So are you guys talking about the Edison Way area or the
Reno
Indian
Sparks
colony?
The Indian
Item number
colony
3.
only.
All
Under
right,
capital
so
projects,
with
we've got
the
money.
Indian
So
colony-
just to bring you up, what I'm looking at
Yeah.
on the spreadsheet, we're looking at $10,920 in fiscal year 2017, and in fiscal year 2018, we're budgeting $23,300. When do we turn this thing over to them? I mean, in my opinion, we did the work. They're the ones who are enjoying the benefit. Turn it over to them. Let Walmart, who is certainly fully capable of paying 30-some thousand bucks.
Right. So to clarify, basically that's just a budget line item. We do get money back from them. So a lot of that money, to be honest, is the water bill that basically we use for the drip system. We unfortunately there's interactions with homeless people where they come through and we'll cut the irrigation system, so we'll have to deal with leaks.
Again, though,
and whatnot.
shouldn't Walmart be
They do.
maintaining that?
So the Indian colony actually, we have a contract with Washoe actually, or the colony has
Reno
it with
Sparks Indian
Washoe.
Colony,
We basically are working to oversee it. And in that, the bills that we get, if they're due to the landscaping, we turn them right over for reimbursement through the colony.
Okay.
And so basically this is just how it's kind of showing through the budget and the system.
Okay.
We end up getting reimbursed.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, I don't know, I don't know where the reimbursements would show up for those kinds of things. I mean, essentially, and I don't know how we could demonstrate this, that's net zero, but, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams?
The revenue for that shows up in the reimbursements line for capital projects fund.
Right.
That's-
But it's not issue specific.
It's not line item saying
Correct.
RSIC.
It's not, that's what
but
I'm saying. It's not issue specific,
included
so
in
we
there.
don't know that's what it's
Right.
going to.
And I'm not looking at that right now, but I believe it's $13,300 for reimbursements for RSIC.
Okay.
And the budget is $23,000, $23,300.
That's correct.
And the difference is $10,000 for a slurry coat that's going to be put on the walkway. And we did withhold that money from the payment Walmart made to Turfma many years ago when we were constructing the whole project.
Okay.
So they're in essence paying for that also. It's just not showing up as a reimbursement. It's just money we've already
Okay,
collected.
all right, good.
from them.
All right, so we're net zero. That's all I wanted to know.
It is,
I mean,
and I'm
yeah.
sorry it's not
Good.
clear there, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay, forgive my digging.
If I may, real quick, thank you Eric Sheets again for the record. Thank you so much, Lori, because she is correct on that. We withheld doing that slurry coating because there wasn't going to be a whole bunch of use on it yet. So it was a way for us to save $10,000 basically and not have to be redoing it right now. And so, like I said, it was, or like she said, it was already covered in the original construction costs. Walmart actually already put in funds for that, but this is the time that we need to do it. I can't wait any longer necessary. I may be able to sneak another year out of it, but if I can
Yeah,
get it.
but then the cost will be $16,000
Exactly.
to do the
right.
slurry coat
It'll
instead
be more,
of,
more
because it's-
degraded. So
Exactly.
this was trying to maximize the funds so that we did it in the best way possible for
Okay.
efficiency.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? One last comment on our budget hearing on Wednesday. And this is not the fault of any of you guys. We see the same thing with Western Regional Water. We see the same thing with Truckee Meadows Water Authority. Those budget hearings are tight. I mean, they are one after another. There's not a lot of time for discussion because it's, and I'll be mindful of that myself. But in future years, and I would love to see a better recognition of the fact that budget is important and some type of coordination between the three agencies so that they're not back to back to back to back, half an hour for each one. That's the way we're scheduled. One's at 9, one's at 9:30, the next one's at 10. And that's really tight for those three agencies. It's really, really tight. So Just,
9:05 and 9:10.
okay. So this is a report. Do we need, Mr. Wolves, a motion to accept the report?
I'll defer to Mr. Aldine on that.
Item 4D.
We, Mr. Chair,
just
Mr.
says
Vice Chair, we don't need a motion to accept the report. We just need direction, if any, and if there is no direction, then we can move forward with the, do I want it approved? No,
accept a
it's not necessary. It's,
Okay.
the budget is the governing document.
Okay, all right. Item 4E, monthly report on the authority's financial status and related financial activities. Ms. Williams, you are now up officially.
Lori Williams, Senior Financial Analyst for Truckee River Flood Management Authority. You have the March financial statements in front of you. This represents the 9th month of the year, so we're 75% of the way through the year. And I can report that all of our budget lines are within 75% or less. The only one that's outstanding of that is employee benefits, and that's mainly because what TURFMA has budgeted is less than what is being charged by Washoe County, and we're currently in discussion with them on getting that corrected or at least further explained. So we may be hearing more on that in the future, but
And that's OPEB,
yes.
right?
And otherwise, everything else is in line, and there's nothing extraordinary. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Ms. Williams? Okay, seeing none, I guess we probably don't need to take action on that either. Okay. Item 5, any comments by board members, requests, or future agenda, and future agenda items? Okay, seeing none. I have no cards for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none, I will close that. We are adjourned. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.